It's all about.
Oh, beautifully measured.
It all comes down to exquisitely measured. Pay close attention to what I have to say. There is more to what you are going to hear than a tennis match review. It is the structure of a sporting earthquake, a seismic shockwave that began in California's sun-drenched desert, traveled through the WTA's elite locker rooms, and erupted into complete chaos in Manila's congested streets. If you thought you knew how the script for the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells was written this year, you were wrong. Destroy the script. The world of tennis just saw something absolutely amazing, so discard the predictions. We are discussing the total disassembly of an immovable object. Elena Rybakina, the third-ranked player in the world and Kazakhstan's ice queen, entered the court anticipating an easy win. She was a Wimbledon champion once. She is the current champion of the Australian Open. Although she is a 6-foot giant with a serve that frequently shatters the sound barrier and demoralizes her opponents, she wasn't just another player waiting for her across the net. The 20-year-old Filipino wonder is no longer merely a door knocker for greatness. She's kicking it down. The world was simply astounded by Alexa. She also didn't accomplish it by being fortunate. She accomplished this by entering the lion's den, facing one of the most formidable forces in contemporary tennis, and slowly and brutally dismantling her. We need to go back and establish the scene in order to fully comprehend the scope of what transpired today. You must comprehend Indian Wells' atmosphere. There's a reason it's referred to as the 5th Grand Slam. It's oppressive pressure. The ball travels through the air at a scary speed since the air is bone dry. The court's rough, high-friction surface, however, catches the ball when it touches the ground, causing it to bounce high and slowing it down just enough to make every rally a cruel physical test. It is a court that requires exceptional tactical understanding in addition to brute force. The odds makers and tennis purists had written Alex Eala off going into this match. They chuckled as they examined the tape's tail. Rybakina is on one side, with a first serve that resembles an attempt to return a rocket and flat, penetrating ground strokes. Eala, on the other hand, is a player who has been rising quickly in the rankings. She is currently ranked number 31, which is a career high, although she is much shorter and relies on defense, speed, and tenacity. It appeared to be a classic mismatch. It appeared to be an impending massacre. However, because Alex Eala did not go out there by herself, there was an electric current flowing through the stadium before a ball was even hit. It was audible from the stands. It was palpable in the atmosphere. A whole country is behind her. The bleachers were crowded with thousands of fervent Filipino supporters who were yelling, waving flags, and making the atmosphere more akin to a football stadium than a civilized country club tennis event. That energy is what Alva feeds on. Alva was bouncing on her toes, eyes wide, soaking in the energy of the crowd, but Rybakina appeared absolutely blank, almost bored by the sight. Alva's worst worry appeared to be coming true when the opening set started. Rybakina unleashed a scary display of aggression. Her first serves were painting the lines with perfect accuracy and frequently clocking in the upper 100s and teens. Alva's racket was barely able to hit the ball. In less than 90 seconds, Rybakina was holding her. Service games. It was a first-strike tennis masterclass. Rybakina was stepping 2 feet inside the baseline when Alva attempted to serve, taking the ball absurdly early and punishing Alva's second serves with flat, devastating return winners. Rybakina was up a double break in an instant. A love obituary for the tournament was already being written by the commentators. The throng fell silent. It appeared to be the blowout that everyone had anticipated. Rybakina appeared to be unbeatable after winning the opening set 6-3. The plot changes at this point. This is the point at which a competent tennis player develops into a superb one. A weaker player would have given up. If she had been younger and less seasoned, the girl would have glanced at the scoreboard, glanced at the giant across the net, begun packing her bags, and accepted the loss. Not Alexa. Alova remained calm during the first and second sets. She took a big breath, covered her head with a towel, sat in her chair, and rewired her strategy entirely. She understood that it would be corporate suicide to try to keep up with Rybakina. Rybakina adores speed. She simply utilizes your own strength against you if you hit the ball hard and flat at her, rerouting it into the open court before you can even get your balance. Alva made the decision to cease giving her pace. The Ice Queen was dragged into the dirt by her decision. Alex Eala's tactical prowess was on full display when the second set began. Alva gave up attempting to hold the baseline when Rybakina served. She retreated. She retreated to the point where she was literally standing in the California desert with the line judges. She had an additional fraction of a second to read the enormous serve as a result. She concentrated on getting the ball back deep into the center of the court instead of attempting to hit return winners. Alva also fundamentally altered the match's shape once the rally got underway. Alva began rolling big, looping top-spin shots deep into the corners rather than playing flat drives. Those hefty top-spin balls would strike the ground and kick up violently, landing squarely in Rybakina's shoulders because to the gritty Indian Wells surface. Rybakina is really tall. She has a lower striking zone by nature. She is unable to provide the same devastating flat power when you make her hit balls up around her neck. Eala made Rybakina use high dead balls to create her own pace. Abruptly, the unstoppable machine started acting strangely. Rybakina began to spray wide with her forehands. She began to net her backhands. The Kazakh's face showed signs of displeasure. Eala, however, didn't stop there. She turned the knife, oh no, realizing that the one small fissure in Rybakina's armor is her onward motion. Eala started using the drop shot with ruthless and vicious skill. She would use a hard top-spin forehand to push Rybakina far behind the baseline, then wait for Rybakina to plant her feet before cutting a delicate, feathery drop shot that just missed the net. The world number 3 was repeatedly forced to lunge, struggle, and dash awkwardly ahead as the audience marveled. Rybakina's legs started to tire from the combination of these intense physical sprints and the desert heat. The giant had trouble breathing. The giant was disintegrating. The stadium exploded as Eala broke Rybakina's serve early in the second set. There was blood in the water, according to the Filipino fans. Riding that surge of momentum, Eala tracked down impossible shots, defended like a wall, and completely frustrated Rybakina. The second set was won by Eala. The game was tied. The third set, a tennis match that will be studied for years to come, followed. A whole battle of attrition. Both women were fully aware of the stakes. In an attempt to calm herself and try to calm down the flaming Filipina, Rybakina even took a medical break prior to the last set. She appeared refreshed when she got back. Once more, she discovered her monster first serve. Neither player conceded an inch during the first 6 games of the decisive match. All 3 games. The tension was oppressively high. It felt like a championship match at every stage. Eala's serving at 3-4 was the pivotal moment, the moment of utter truth. Suddenly, Rybak blasted 3 consecutive incredible return wins. Later on, there will be flat lasers. At love 40, she produced a triple breakpoint. It was this. The world number 3 was expected to show her might, break the underdog serve, and end the match at this point. Alex Eala's veins are made of pure ice, but the stadium was completely silent. She played the service game of her life while facing the departure door. First, a huge kick serve that went wide and resulted in a 15-40 mistake. After that, Rybakina finally snapped and hit the backhand long after a tiring 25-shot rally in which Eala just would not miss, covering every inch of the baseline. 30-40, and against one of the world's top returners, something almost unimaginable occurred on the third breakpoint. Alex Eala served voluntarily in the face of a breakpoint that may have ended her tournament. She casually slammed away a forehand volley into the open court after hitting a nasty slicing serve out wide and running to the net. Deuce. The audience went crazy. It was an act of pure, unadulterated bravery and tactical genius. The game was saved by Eala. You could see the fight leave Rybakina's eyes after 4 games. The psychological impact of losing the triple breakpoint was too great. Eala pounced in the very next game. On the second serve, she returned with vicious depth, stepping inside the baseline and denying Rybakina any breathing room. Eala had double match point on Rybakina's serve at 15-40. The match was perfectly summed up in the last rally. Desperate, Rybakina intervened and delivered a huge inside-out forehand. A shot that would have easily defeated 99% of the women on the tour. Eala scurried, skidded entirely out of frame on the hard court, and threw up a desperation towering defense low after being caught traveling the wrong way to be. For what seemed like a lifetime, the ball lingered in midair. Everyone in the stadium held their breath. With her feet positioned for a high forehand put away, Rybakina set up camp beneath it. Even though it was the simplest shot she had seen all day, her concentration was totally destroyed by the pressure, the weariness, and Alex's unwavering determination. After swinging, Rybakina sank the ball into the net's bottom. Set match game. Alex. Eala dropped her racket as soon as the ball struck the net. As the tears started to fall, she dropped to her knees and buried her face in her hands. A thunderous roar erupted from the stadium. The Filipino faithful, a nation in tears as they witnessed their brightest star accomplish the impossible, were ecstatic, and the tennis traditionalists were in complete disbelief. I lingered to witness the pinnacle of Rybakina's early career when she hurried to the net, shook hands briefly, and strode off the court, obviously incensed. The tale becomes very evident when you look at the final data. Rybakina made 54 unintentional mistakes. 54. For a player of her quality, that is unprecedented. They weren't unforced, though. They were compelled by Alex Eala's amazing defensive wall, the constant pressure, and the tactical variation. Eala had a remarkably flawless match, winning almost 60% of points on Rybakina's second serve while making very few mistakes herself. The ranks will be rocked by this triumph. Eala is no longer merely vying for a spot in the top 20. She is ripping off the hinges. However, this match sends a terrible message to the rest of the circuit, more so than the ranking points. Alex Eala has demonstrated that she is capable of taking on the most formidable players on the planet's largest stages, facing them head-on, and outrunning, outlasting, and outsmarting them. This is a difficult pill for Elena Rybakina to take. She needs to start over before the Miami when her power game is neutralized, open it, and decide what to do. But she doesn't own today. The Philippines is the rightful owner today. A 20-year-old girl who refused to give up owns today. Today, Alex Eala accomplished more than just winning a tennis match. She wrote a resilient masterpiece. She demonstrated that an unwavering heart and a sharp mind can defeat pure power. For her, the draw has really opened up. The question of whether Alex Eala belongs on this stage is no longer relevant. Who will have the courage to try to stop her is the question. I'd like to talk to you. Now get down in the comments. Did you anticipate this legendary upset? What moment in that amazing second set marked a turning point for you? Furthermore, how far do you believe Alex Eala can advance in this competition? If you enjoy seeing the underdogs defeat the giants, click the like button.